Hello, my name is Dr. Paul Mattis. I'm with Mount Vernon Nazarene University. I've been advising students for a good number of years, and one of the things I found was that I frequently am repeating myself. I might meet with a student and give some information, and the next student that I would meet with would have a similar series of questions, and I give the same answers. So I began to wonder, how might I make better use of my time, and how might I make it the information available to the students more easily. So what I decided to do is to try to create a location that would allow me to have that kind of interaction, that type of communication. So the reason for this presentation is I want to talk to you about using a website to communicate advising information. Now, the way that I've done that is by using our university learning management system. Ours is Moodle. I would believe this type of approach works for any type of learning management system. And what I want to do is walk you through what would have been my poster presentation so that you have an idea of some of the resources and how I'm utilizing them. And in a summary idea, what we're talking about is creating a way to archive information, including video presentations, so that students have access, as long as they can access the internet and can access the learning management system, they can have access to all this information. So the result of that is I have fewer meetings that are redundant, and I have more time available to address individual needs, and that allows me to accomplish what I need in a more timely manner. I also have a means by which I can get the most recent information out more rapidly. So the poster, if you read through it, the PowerPoint that's associated with it, you can get some of the information that I'm talking about here in terms of the background and why we're doing this and some of the places that will come to bear. What I'm going to do is, rather than walk you through the rationale and all that information, is I'm going to actually show you the website and look at some of the different pieces of information that are available and show you how that can reduce the time commitment and at the same time actually increase the opportunity to interact with students. And I'll show you a little bit of some of the things we're thinking about when we're looking toward the future. So if you come to our Moodle site, our course site, it's referred to as the MVNU Pre-Med Program site. That we use this as an umbrella, so it contains information for those going to medical school, both human medicine and veterinary medicine, and dentistry, optometry, pharmacy, podiatry, and a variety of other areas. In time, I envision this could actually encompass all areas, probably take more expertise than I would be able to put to this. But when you come to the first page, what you see is a place for announcements and some folders or sections that are available to them. So the first row talks about the COVID information and overview, events, and so on. And we're going to walk through each one of these. As you scan down on that page, I can't show it, the whole page all at once, you then see the variety of different options that are here. And this gives some background information. How do we do things at our university? Other options if you decide you're not going into medicine as a medical school student. So I have some other folders here of other types of information. And then finally, we'll end talking about some of the ways you might utilize your profession, your training, whether you're talking about serving underrepresented groups or medical fields. And we have a good number of our students who do medical missions. And then some places for the current applicants, depending which cycle they're in. And then finally, the alumni area, that's the one that's most under development. So let's then, in addition, this website also has a continual update on the calendar. And this allows, in one location, the students are able to actually look at what's coming up and what's already out there and keep up to date on that. So it works out quite nicely from that perspective. So then let's go to the actual site itself and begin the journey of looking at things. So as I mentioned, this is what the student would see in the entire page all at once. To the right of this visual field is the calendar, and that's also kept up to date. Now, recognize this is all being done manually, so somebody is entering this information. In our situation, I'm the one, but it wouldn't take a lot to train someone to do this. So I had created a new section here called COVID-19 information. when we go here, what I have done is I've been gathering as the health professional organizations have been updating things. I've been placing that out there, or some of the things that the NAHP is putting out. This also is coming here. And so here's something from AACOM, AMC, updates for a variety of different organizations, what they're doing. So this gives the students a place that they can go very quickly to gather the latest information rather than having to remember where to look in all the different places. I try to keep this up. I also try to remind the students, don't assume this is as up to date as the actual site of your various organization. I try to keep it up. However, we all recognize that that may not necessarily be practical in all situations. So that's the COVID-19. And obviously that one's that's been added, and we're trying to keep that updated as much as we can. The second thing that we're interested in is how do we get them going? So we have a start here option that they're going to look at, and this basically gives them an overview. And I have a variety of things here that may be helpful to them. One of the things that I created is this, what they should be doing every year. It's not unusual for a student to get to the second or third year, or they're ready to actually apply, and then they realize I haven't been doing what I needed. So I got tired of that, and I decided to create something like this. And this then gives a list of what should be done on a regular basis and what should be done periodically based upon how far along they are in school. So the other item here that I'd like to show you is this in good standing. Now, we haven't officially applied this, but you can see this information is here. And if we click on this, what the students then are able to do is to go and download a form that they can keep up for themselves. And any of these resources that I'm showing you, I have available. If you'd be interested in having them, please contact me. So this particular form is set up so that students know what they should be doing. So the yellow code says this is what should be taken care of every year. There are some things I think they should be doing as freshmen. There are some things as sophomores and juniors and seniors, and you have to develop what would be good for you. But this works quite well for us. And as I get students to recognize this, then they realize I should be working from day one so that when I get to the time to actually do the application, I don't have something out there that is not ready yet. So I've used this type of approach. We're in its infancy stage, and I'm still getting students to understand the importance of this, but at least it gets them started and helps them going in the right direction. So we know how to get them started. The next thing that I have in place is the upcoming events. And this is a composite of all the different areas. So it tends to be quite comprehensive in what's going to be present here. So the application cycle information is here for the various organizations, the various different professions. If there are some other options, some upcoming fairs, and including virtual ones now, and webinars, other things that other schools are posting, I'm pulling these primarily off of the listserv, but sometimes things are sent directly. Again, this is a way to help students keep up to date, and I use that feature quite extensively. I also have been duplicating the information here and putting it into the calendar as well. And then in addition, some things, for example, if I get a post that's only about pharmacy, I will put it here instead of in the generic. One of the problems that I'm encountering is the extensive amount of information sometimes becomes too much for students to be able to handle, and they're not exactly sure where to work. The site is searchable, but they don't always take the time to do that. And they don't always keep up on what has been posted. I tell them they should be looking here at least weekly. And some students are very good at that, others are not. Again, we're building a culture where this is the way I think about things. The next thing that I think is important is to recognize that students need to prepare not just in terms of the academics or the things they do, but who are they? And this addresses the competencies idea, which includes character and conduct. And this is a new section for me, and it's still under construction, but I've run across some items like, for example, here's the list of competencies that the AMC has for medical students. There's also a site that has some resources, some which you pay for, but others which are free. These are actually intended primarily for clinicians, but there are a series of resources here that are really good for people who are preparing to become clinicians. So it's another site that's available. As I find more things that might help the students grow as a person, those will be included here as well. The next item that I want to point out on our program here, or on our website here, is this resources. And as schools send information out from a variety of different places or organizations, they get posted here. And some of them are about international schools, some are the domestic. I try to keep things like newsletters in this place as well and keep those up to date. And a variety of different programs. Sometimes there are videos that we can link in here. Again, these are information items that are sent to us that schools would like to pass on to students. Oh, I'm sorry, I got those backwards. Then we also, excuse me, have some resources. And if we look here, I have some templates. These are 4-year schedules of what I think students should be taking each year. Some recommended things. AMC has a lot of resources, some traffic rule information, things by various organizations, local opportunities to get engaged, some comparisons, some articles that have been posted. Again, a wide range of resources that are being made available, some of which are very important, and others are more independent of what we're trying to accomplish. Specifically, they're more general, if you will. Then, in addition, we also are noticing now they're getting more and more digital resources, and this has especially become the case as we've looked in and gone as it relates to what's going on with the pandemic. And what I'm doing here is identifying things that are being posted that are either newsletters or blogs. Christian Essman's got a great one that comes out regularly interviewing people. There are a variety of other people doing similar types of things. University of Colorado has some resources. Again, I'm sure you know a lot more than I do about that, but this becomes a place where I can send students so they can get, in some cases, confirmation of what I'm telling them, and in other cases, some things which are new. I have a place where I place all of the recordings that I have done. So anytime I meet with a student, that is archived. So I have a meeting that I start every year off with, and I keep the old ones hidden, and the latest one is here. So if a student misses this meeting, they can come and get it. I have the PowerPoint that's used in that presentation available, a variety of other types of resources that are out there. So all of the different videos that are created are placed here. I have some which show students how to study, how to prepare with the idea of learning instead of just simply studying. Something about the MCAT and professional high impact testing like MCAT and licensure exams and so on, DAT. How to write personal statement, professional statement. We had a former student came and spoke. So those types of resources are available. And again, I have them in this venue so that it's available 24/7, and a student can look at some resources before they actually even sit down with me. So that's the video that we are looking at. Now, as you're aware, there are a lot of forms that are being utilized, and we have a variety of different things that I want students to be able to access. And I have some restrictions on what they can and cannot do based upon making sure they've looked at the instructions. And one of the things that I've done is I've created some activity forms that can be used that simulates what would be actually on an MCAS application. And they can record these as they happen throughout their career, so they don't have to try to remember back 3 years ago who was the person in charge and so on. And these are things that are necessary for the way that we work with our students. There are some instructions also given in terms of the timeline as they go along, and that's under this uh, folder for application. It's in general things. Since we're in Ohio, I have information about what's required for Ohio schools, some things about standardized testing and central application ideas, and those types of resources. So those are all present here. And as you can tell, you can add in whatever information would be helpful to you. I have some information about standardized exams and MCAT in particular. So that's in this folder. And again, it's ideas, some of which is unique to the MCAT and some of which isn't. And some of it's generalized. We also have information, advertisements, announcements that come from the review course programs. And I try not to promote one over another. I will give feedback from what I've learned, but these different ones are out here. And again, as that information is sent to me or I find it somewhere, I'll add it. And then there's the question of, so how do we do it here at Mount Vernon? And that's all contained in this procedure, or in this area. So what are the steps they need to do and what we want them to do, all of that's going to be contained here. And I include ways for them to actually submit the documents, those forms, so that I can keep a good track of that. Sometimes students choose some other options. So therefore, I've been putting things here, other programs, summer opportunities, research opportunities, degrees, masters, and so on. So those are all being put into this location. Then sometimes students want to get engaged in research itself. So as those arrive or articles about research and its value, those are posted here. And then sometimes people have need of other types of avenues to get prepared. So they have Postback options. And again, as those programs become available, try to place the information here. The more information I have available, the better that is for the students. And I try to get all that I have. And then I try to keep this current as much as I possibly can as well. And again, there's a wide variety of information that's available there. I do tell a little bit about the match program. It's not a major thing, but I want them to be aware that that is something that could be ahead for them. Then for those who are interested in other areas, there's a folder here for dentistry. And again, whatever's unique to dentistry might go in this one. And we have one for optometry and one for pharmacy. And again, that would be and you can tell some of these are not as developed because the resources, I don't have them added yet. And same thing with pharmacy, things for physical therapy, physician assistant, podiatry, and veterinary medicine. And so all of those are things that are of interest to our students, and we have some information for them. Let me finish, since we're about out of time, a little bit about there are some organizations who are interested in helping people either as a medical missionary or as getting involved overseas. So I try to put that information and make it available to our students so they can be thinking about that. And then finally, I have a folder in place where I can put things for current applicants and their information. And it's a way for them to know what they've already submitted and for me to know that and then give feedback on that. I won't show that because it's confidential information. But I will close with the alumni area. And that is, it's a way to communicate with former students and have them be in contact with current students. I gave the opportunity to any of our former students who want to be part of this. They send me information, we get them connected. So in concept, the students can submit questions, alumni can give responses. I would like to see this eventually get developed into a monthly blog. Again, this one's fairly early in its development phase, and we're not quite ready for that one yet. So let me just close by saying this lets us have a way to communicate continually. and it's an online resource for archive materials that lets me have control over things. The only people who can access it are the people who are registered as our students who have our university email account. We can do some other things on a few with a few exceptions, but basically that becomes the access. I don't do the presentation multiple times. I have more time to do a lot of other things. I can, if the students are cooperating, I can see pretty well how they're making progress, and we can get a lot done. So if you have questions, I'd be happy to respond to those. You can send those to me by email or work through the NAHP, whatever mechanism they utilize for that. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that's been helpful to you.